Yeah, thanks so much, Sha. And I'm going to ask the same question. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm going to try and project as much as I can. Yeah, my name is Aaron Couch. My pronouns are he and him. I'm excited to talk to you today about the Nava platform and how the Nava platform helps accelerate the work that we do at Nava, and more importantly, the delivery of human-centered outcomes for the people we serve. A little bit about me. I'm a principal engineer here at Nava. I currently live in Philly with my partner and several chickens. I've been a contributor to civic technology projects for over 15 years. I started out when socials were MySpace and participated in some of the protests that inspired Twitter. My most significant contribution before Nava has been with open data. I worked on data.gov and a dozen of state and federal open data projects and created DCAN, a data catalog that was used by over 100 governments in 35 countries. The DCAN project was big in Japan. Thank you. That was a fun aspect of it. Had a large footprint in Germany as well, but one of the more profound elements of the project is that at one point in time, both Russia and the Ukraine were using the project. They both had open data catalogs running the same open source software. We all know that software itself can't solve people and geopolitical issues in itself, but in a world that creates too many walls and artificial boundaries, open source and civic technology projects can create connections and community that can cross parochial and even national boundaries. I'm here to talk to you about one of the most exciting projects that I've had a pleasure of contributing to. Sha just was touching on the kind of difference between theory and practice. Throughout my journey, I've navigated that spectrum between theory and practice. I've written articles, blog posts, op-eds on the theory side. But I found that I'm myself more at home with action often. Let's build it. I'm an engineer. This project puts some of the best practices in action in a way that I think more people should know about. So I'm excited to tell you about it here today. The Nava platform creates a culture of community, and community around reuse and continuous improvement that I believe is a model for companies and government agencies. The Nava platform consists of 4 open source templates, an infrastructure template that can build multi-account AWS infrastructure managed by Terraform modules, a Flask template that is tailored for APIs. For those of you not familiar with APIs, that's the data layer. APIs provide data between front-end apps and back-end processes. APIs are very friendly. If you ask for the data, they'll give it to you as long as you ask for it in the right way. If you don't, you'll get a 404, which can be very embarrassing. There's a React template built on Next.js that is ideal for both ambitious and easy to use user interfaces, and a template that is both back-end and front-end, built on the extremely fast to develop and stable Rails framework. The purpose of the Nava platform is to go fast and not break things. In other words, to accelerate development, adopt best practices and workflows, and security. With the platform, we can spin up projects quickly, which includes the ability to rapidly prototype solutions. But unlike many prototypes that are built, and I'm certainly guilty myself of throwing together a UI for a demo that looks slick. Some of them don't look slick, but it ultimately is far from generally useful. But prototypes developed with the Nava platform are built on a scalable foundation. The platform can and has saved months of time and can help avoid mistakes and adopt best practice. Whether it's whether software or any other endeavor, you know you never get it right the first time. And my backyard and house is full of projects that stand as a testament to that. But this fact is built into the Agile process, of course. We keep iterating until we get it right. But with the platform, many of the features have already gone through some of that iteration. And so creating this matrix for reuse and shared tooling drives the impact. So to illustrate how this works, let's walk through starting a new project. The idea of starting a new project for many in this room may create a sense of calm. Take a deep breath. Imagine you have a blank canvas. Or for others of you, it might create a sense of panic. Oh no, not again. We have so much work to do. But picture, if you will, a federal or state level project with a 1 to 3 year delivery commitment that could either be a new service or a modernization effort for an existing system. The current state of web and cloud tech provides great building blocks. Maybe your company or agency has best practices established or ways of working. There are lots of great building blocks out there, a lot of great places to start. AWS has over 200 services that for the most part don't speak seamlessly together. And even for the ones that do, I heard a couple chuckles because it's worse than that, but even for the ones that do, you need a way to deploy them, you need a way to manage infrastructure as code, GitOps, the deployment glue, so on and so forth. There are a lot of quality templates and starter kits out there for different activities, like your project setup, whether that be GitHub or GitLab. There are Terraform templates with modules for different services. However, none of them have strong adoption or are not focused for government use cases. There are services like Gruntwork, for example, that have built business out of modularizing the cloud. However, that specific service starts at $40,000 a year and only addresses a small part of the need. So then you're locked into a vendor, and now you have two problems. For applications, there are Next.js and React starter templates and starter kits. The US web design system has a number of really great integration libraries and examples for tools like React and Drupal and Rails and Django. And many in this room has contributed to those projects, and we use some of those in the Nava template. So the goal of the Nava template is to start the project ready to launch. If it's not clear, that is a Lego robot. So we're going to continue with the Lego metaphor. The rocket is especially apropos because the templates don't contain the payload or the and are flexible for whatever mission our shared project is going to launch. But the templates will help you get to the 11.2 kilometers per second that will need to leave Earth orbit. So how do we do that? With flexible and modular pieces that are pre-assembled, but also flexible enough for a wide variety of needs and applications. And we've got our fuselage there, still Lego. The infrastructure template is the foundation for the Nava platform. So we're still on this journey. We're starting a new project together. Folks would typically pick the Rails project, the Rails template, which I mentioned, is front end, back end, or we could choose the Python API and React front end template for our project. So what would that get us? Let's say for our new project, we're going to go with the Rails template, and let's take a look at what we get. Our blank canvas is now an app and infrastructure that is ready for action. We'll go into a little detail on the services and operations in this diagram, but for the non-technical folks in the audience, trust me, that's impressive. What the diagram represents is an infrastructure built to deliver services focused on the Nava's mission that are simple. Again, and Nava's mission is to deliver services that are simple, effective, and accessible to all. So the The CI/CD pipeline, infrastructure as code, and feature flags help us to deploy frequently and consistently, which is a bedrock of agile delivery. At Nava, we measure the time to deployment and deployment frequency of our projects. And in most of our projects are pushing code to production on at least a weekly basis. The application load balancer and container-based architecture ensure that the applications are scalable and available to users. We all know that government services experience too much downtime. I've experienced that personally, and I've read too many calls for proposals detailing the problem. And we all know, we all agree we can do better. Out-of-the-box incident management service integration helps ensure that the processes as well as the systems are resilient. And the security best practices are going to help us to get to production faster by implementing security controls, having those already in place, and then ensuring that the data of our users is secure. So the Rails app out of the box includes a fully functioning website that is accessible, fully accessible, and integrates with the US web design system. USWDS often trips me up. And additionally, for our projects, we get all of these goodies. So I sense a calming in the room. Now our blank canvas is looking pretty good. Who else is who else is excited? Let's go build. So our project lived happily ever after. As I mentioned, the infrastructure is the foundation of the work. So let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the system. So the infra template consists of 5 layers: an account layer, network, database, service, and CI/CD. So the network layer is like the castle walls, defending against, we're switching metaphors, by the way, defending against anyone who wants to get in and out. So it consists of a virtual private network, the outermost castle wall, as well as an encryption layer that keeps communication secure coming in and out of the castle. You could think of that as the royal stamp that the king or queen would put on correspondence, but hopefully our encryption is more secure than that. So within the castle walls are public and private subnets, which you could think of as the public and private areas within the castle. There's also a NAT gateway, and that stands for network address translation. So you could think of that as that's used to communicate within and outside of the network securely. So you could think of that as the correspondence between the royal court and the foreign lands. The network configuration is extremely flexible within the infra template. So you can use a shared network or different networks between environments. And this was especially useful for us. I'm on the grants.gov project because we started off with a shared network and moved to a more secure setup with multiple environments, multiple networks per environment as we shifted to a more production setup. The account layer is the layer that's responsible for determining who's allowed to come in and out of this castle. So if you've seen Monty Python's Holy Grail, you might remember a pretty effective account management system which denied entrance to King Arthur at the top of the castle wall. So in action, what this account layer does is it makes sure that only certain activities can come in and out. A bedrock of that is our CI/CD pipeline, in which GitHub is the task runner that anytime we merge code into our repository, anytime you see a dev click merge, or maybe click merge yourself, we need a secure way to get information in and out of our system. And we use OpenID Connect in order to authenticate between GitHub and a privileged account. The account layer also is flexible, and that's the thing. This is part of the kind of secret sauce here with the platform, is that it's flexible enough for a lot of different government use cases. We never get the same exact access. We never get the same exact account setup. So the platform is designed to create that foundation that allows us to work within these multifaceted environments, but do it quickly and deliver the services that we need to quickly. And finally, there's the service and database layers that are the meat and potatoes, so to speak, that support the applications and processes that power our services. So how do these features get developed? Where do they come from? Let's take a look at the workflow for new platform features. Each platform template has a GitHub repository where we build in the open. The contributors to the template are devs on individual project teams who typically create the first iteration of a feature. Devs at Nava are pretty much 100% focused on their project work and outcomes, so there are dedicated platform team staff to help pull examples and best practices out of the platform repos. Features are typically developed on the projects, and they have some commonalities, but are, again, in different contexts. So among those, best practices emerge. So to take an example out of a recent feature that was added to the platform, we have a feature in the platform that uploads a file, processes it, and passes it on to whatever your kind of data pipeline is. So the feature was developed independently. Best practices came out of the examples and lessons learned. Feedback and discussion happened on Slack and GitHub, and that new feature was added to the platform. After that was added to the platform, this upload and processing feature is available for other product teams, which is a huge win. On our grants.gov team, we experienced a number of these kind of wins where we're plugging ahead, we're on our sprints, and all of a sudden we have a new feature that we knew was on our roadmap, and we kind of got it for free. And you might think it's 2024. Haven't we conquered file uploads? But within the cloud, and to run secure processes off of that, there are half a dozen services involved, and the orchestration of those is could take a sprint or so to set up. So that's time back that we can spend on other features. And again, part of the art of the platform work is to make things flexible for different scenarios. So this new feature in the platform supports a scenario where you might not, an ETL job where you don't own, another team owns the file store. Or it might be one that is in your network, and there's some flexibility around tasks for low-frequency ETL batch jobs and high-frequency real-time applications. Within the GitHub repo, a new features are released, and this is an example of that. And you can see for these features, the service and CI/CD layers were affected, and in this case, a new identity provider and end-to-end tests are available to the projects that use use the feature. So one other example of how a feature makes it into the platform, and some of the ways in which we get that added benefit of this kind of community task and work is for grants.gov, the project I'm on, and we got some other members out there. We are using the Next.js React template, and about a year and a half ago, the Next itself released a new way of routing and organizing code, and we were like, hey, do we want to take advantage of that or not? We have some smart folks on our team, but the platform team had already started to think through this. They created some pros and cons. They created some documentation around the pros and cons and helped us think through, does this make sense for us? And ultimately it did. One cool thing about that interaction is that, so the templates are open. One of the core maintainers of Next and VP of product at Vercel, which supports Next, jumped in and addressed some of our concerns about the upgrade. So, a maintainer of the most popular React framework in the world was able to weigh in on that feature. So that was pretty cool. And then a bonus feature with this platform work from a dev perspective is that it makes cross-team collaboration much more easy and effective. And devs can kind of jump between projects, having had time and expertise with the tools that we're using on the project. So a couple case studies for some of the impact that we've seen. Grants.gov is a modernization effort that I mentioned I'm a part of. $3 billion a year in grant opportunities come through the system. And it's a modernization effort that is long overdue. With the help of the platforms, we were able to get an initial site launch in a month. We were able to get a significant security clearance within 6 months, around 6 months, and we saved an estimated 12 weeks on development. Great, yeah, so another case study here. New Jersey unemployment project, 600,000 people a year in New Jersey don't have insurance. Nava is replacing a 1980s era mainframe. The project was able to, the project used the Python and infra templates and was able to set up the project without dedicated engineers and saved approximately 10 weeks of development time. And finally, facing financial shock, a project that I have had the pleasure of contributing to as well. It's an income verification application, and is going to save, once it's done, hundreds of millions of dollars that CMS and other federal vendors spend on income verification. They were able to spin up their infrastructure. Remember that impressive diagram? In only 5 days, saved an estimated 4 weeks of development, and launched their pilot within 4 months of their initial commit. 2 of those projects are open source, and you can go visit their repos, and if you open an issue, Brendan here might respond to it, or if I don't get to it first. So some more of the global impact. We've estimated we've saved 65 weeks of engineering work across 9 applications. you might be wondering, how do you measure that? We try and get an average of how long it takes to do certain activities. How long does it take to set up a front application? And that's how we have kind of tried to create those estimates. So yeah, next steps, vision and roadmap, continuing to make the small improvements that help make the deployment of the templates more effective. Some potential features that are under consideration are content management system, load testing, identity providers, notifications. I'm not sure what that CMS is, Lucas. We'll have to find out. I thought of you when I saw that one. How can my team use the platform? You can work with Nava. I would recommend that. But they're also, but you can also adopt them yourself. They're open source, and you have as much privilege within that code to do what we've done. If you have any questions or like to learn more, you can contact me or Lauren's the vision behind this and has really guided this effort. So he's someone you can get in touch with. Thank you. So we have some time for Q&A. 5 minutes. 5 minutes for Q&A.
Many projects are not ground up starters. How is this work modularized that people can adapt pieces that maybe might apply to them?
Yeah, so the question was how is this modularized, in case you couldn't hear, how is this modularized to adapt to different types of projects? Within the infrastructure template, the services that are deployed in AWS are modularized as much as possible. You can turn them on and off, so to speak. It's not like the app store on your phone, but there's an intentionality around modularization within the Terraform code. Yeah, that's the main place of emphasis for that. And the apps have a lot of are a great starter place, but we haven't over kind of indexed on those since there are so many different kind of directions that you could go in.
Are you going to be working to expand metrics you report on, not just the cost savings up front or the time savings up front, but all the accumulated savings?
What kind of metrics would be interesting to you?
Like as examples, the fact that you'll have a staff with stronger experience with standardized platforms, the quality of the platforms, the sustainability of projects, things like that.
We do keep a lot of metrics. I mentioned briefly, but we do keep a lot of metrics on our projects from a developer's perspective, engineering perspective. Time from branch commit to merge, number of open merge requests, frequency of commits to product or pushes to production. So with those, we can kind of see some things trending. But yeah, that's a good question. How do you create metrics that can dig a little deeper? It's hard because there's a lot of qualitative elements of it, but
it is something to think about. But it's a strong story to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
You got two sides. I think the customer and the company both stand to benefit a lot from these strong adoption.
Yeah, thanks. Oh. I'm hiding.
Hi, Max Dennis from Policy Engine. Love the open source approach and like the Next.js developer chiming in is a great example of the success of that. I'm curious what kind of decision process got you guys to decide to do this open source? Was it internally driven? Were your clients interested in this? And kind of related, are there some kinds of projects that you would hope this could empower as a template for projects outside of Nava, and what would that look like in the future?
Yeah, I mean, again, I mentioned I think this is a model, and we have a lot of great projects that 2 of those examples are open source, and that's something that definitely this it can snowball in a way. Like doing things in the open makes it easier to do projects in the open, so those processes are something that are important to us. I don't know, Sha. If you want to, you were part of the. You were part of the kind of decision tree maybe that helps think about the open source impacts.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Hey Max, how's it going? That's a great question. I think ultimately, as a public benefit corporation, we are interested in the overall health of the ecosystem that we're a part of. And so we can make things easier for ourselves, but if there isn't the kind of long-term possibility of contributing to overall systems health, again, we're systems nerds, and so that felt like a missed opportunity. So I think it's, and I will say a type of compliment I've received in the past about, at least from a Nava perspective, a really important focus on craft and delivery. Jody and I talk about the kind of delivery model and the delivery focus all the time. But a comparison I've received in the past, which I think is a very flattering compliment to apply to what we're trying to do here, is actually Penn and Teller, where they, in their magic show, they can show you exactly what trick they're pulling off, and they can give you all the steps, but then they can perform it anyways, and it still tricks your eye. And so, like, I think there is a level of pride in our work and our craft that you see kind of reflected back in the work and taking that kind of posture. So I don't know if that's helpful for you from like the systems perspective and the craft perspective.
It's exciting to hear about all of the downstream benefits for Nava. One of the things that I was curious hearing the story about the Next.js folks commenting on the feedback that we gave when we were looking at applying those upgrades. What do you think the opportunities are around Nava being able to contribute back upstream in terms of being able to provide benefits to partners that are working in the open source like Next.js or React? Or other groups that are looking for open feedback and open collaborators that we leverage the technologies of currently?
Yeah, Nava does do some open source contribution. Andy back there has contributed to the React library that we, the USDS React library that we use that I mentioned earlier. So there's certainly opportunity. I think on our project, I'd be excited to do more of that. Yeah, it's something that really shows our competency to be able to step into that realm and to make sure that the solutions that we're building on behalf of government are part of those use cases, part of that code, and part of that process.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's it. How long's the break? 10 minutes. There's going to be a 10-minute break, and then we'll have the panel. Thank you so much.